This is my makeup journey brush edition. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today I wanted to discuss makeup brushes. I have been doing a monthly series where I talk about different parts of my makeup journey and how I tackled that, what my experience is there, and to maybe also share some tips with you. Maybe if you're starting out or if you're looking to try something new, what are things you might want to look into? So that's sort of the perspective we're coming with from today. And today I wanted to share my brushes with you. So brushes are actually something that if you buy the ones that work for you, you can keep for a very long time. I have brushes in this everyday brush collection that I'm holding up right now that I've had for more than a decade. It is really sort of the workhorse of your makeup collection, and if you have good brushes, you can make almost anything work for you. So these are the ones that I'm currently using, and I'm going to talk you through some older things I have as well and my travel brushes. But as we'll go along, you'll find out like what my favorite brush brands are and how that all worked out for me. So here we have the brushes that I'm currently using. So first things first, as I mentioned, when it comes to brushes, I really feel that if you buy the right ones, I'm not going to say invest because I don't feel that good brushes have to be super expensive. In fact, as you will see as we go along, I have some very, very cheap brushes that I'm still using and that are still really, really good to go. But I've used most of these brushes for as long as I've been doing makeup and I've been using brushes. I have changed things over time. I've definitely invested in some brush brands as well, either because I wanted to try them or to see how it would fare. But I sort of have my core collection of face brushes on this side of the cubby. And then there's a cubby in the middle with like spare brushes just in case those get really dirty or if I want to do very particular things. And then this brush organizer, it's from Zoeva. Has two compartments for smaller brushes. And the ones at the front are my everyday eyeshadow brushes. Anything that's dirty goes in there. So also if I grab an eyeshadow brush from the back that I use as backups or like extra things, just in case I want to do very particular things, then I have everything at the ready and I have just everything I need. So let me talk to you about my eyeshadow brushes first. Then we'll talk about my daily face brushes and then we'll have a look at what else is in here. I do apologize for any sort of not so clean looking brushes. I did do my makeup today, and that's one of the things that happens if you do your makeup. They get dirty really easily. But I'll share some tips of how I sort of maintain my brushes in this video as well, how I've been able to keep things pristine looking and how I like to clean them. So there's 3 different tactics I use to be able to get as much use out of my brushes as possible. So one of the brush brands that has been with me the longest is actually a Dutch makeup brand, or at least a Dutch store that sells makeup. And that store, let me see, I think these are all of them, is HEMA. So if you're ever in the Netherlands, or if you live in the Netherlands, or you're in Belgium, or you have access to HEMA, I know they have some stores in places like Germany, and also in the UK there are a couple. France has some as well. They have a makeup section, and over time I have found some really wonderful brushes in their collection. However, I do have to say that these are cheaper. This brush is the oldest brush I own, and this used to be brown, and it's now sort of like, I don't know, not the right color. I do use this to set my eyeshadow base with. It's just a really nice wispy sort of brush, and this is looking a little worse for wear. I bought 2 of these at the time. They discontinued this brush years ago, but I still love it. They also do some really good angled brushes. So if you're looking for things that you can do eyeliner with and stuff, if you're just looking for a small angled brush, then HEMA has been my favorite. And this pink one is one that I use because it stands out in all of the other sort of brushes I have. So that's a brand I really enjoy there. And then I also have a lip brush by them. If I want to use a lip brush with a lip product, I have one that I can use. And then I have the most recent one. This is the eyeshadow smudging brush in 113. And this is just a really nice sort of smoky pencil brush that I really love for the lower lash line. I have like a little bit of wiggle room, you could say, in my lower lash line. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but with a lot of brushes that a lot of people like to use on the lower lash line, I find it either pushes my lid into my eyeball, which is very uncomfortable, and I sort of lose the brush, or it doesn't deposit the amount of product I want. And that brush, super affordable. I think especially their eyeshadow brushes are all under €3 and they are really wonderful. I had this entire set with the wooden handle ones. I believe they've already discontinued it, and this is the only brush that really stood out to me compared to everything else. That is something that in recent years, as I've been like trying more and more brushes over time, whenever I try a new brush brand, I like to try like sets so I have a good feel for it. But then I'll always keep the ones that truly stand out to me in my day-to-day stash, and the things I like but that I don't really see myself using all the time go into like the spare side, or I make it part of my travel makeup bag as well. So there's that. Another firm and old long-standing favorite is Sigma. These are all brushes I paid for with my own money. Some of them look incredibly gross and a little bit worse for wear, but I was lucky enough to, I think about a year ago or so, to have Sigma sent me like a whole brush collection. So there is a lot of Sigma brushes in my makeup collection for that reason. If there was anything in there that was double to me, then I did give those away. But these are just some original eyeshadow brushes that I've been using for years. You can see, like, if your brush handle no longer says the name of the brush, you know you've had it for a while. But these have held up really well. This is a small pencil brush. I believe it's called the E30. I'm not entirely sure anymore because it's no longer written on it. I always have to look that one up whenever I do share my brush collection with you. I also like this eyeliner brush. This is the E05. If I want to use something like a gel liner or anything like that, this is the kind of brush I go for. And I especially like the ones that are in their like short-handled sort of section of the website for eyeliner brushes, because I feel that the shorter handle, like this is the regular handle, and then this is how tall the E05 is. There's also an E05 that's as tall as the others, but I feel with eyeliner, I want more control. And with brushes, it very much depends on where you hold them, how much control you have. If you have a brush like this and you hold it here, you're going to get a lot of payoff. But if you hold it more here, of course, you have a little bit more wiggle room, quite literally. So with an eyeliner brush, I just need all the control I need. And that's why I like the short-handled version a little bit better. So Sigma does that as well. I think it was like a free gift with purchase at some point when I placed an order. And then I just have like some of my favorite eyeshadow brushes here. I have the E55, and you can sort of see the difference. This is my old one that I currently only use for glitters or wedding shadows or like glitter glues and stuff. And then this is the newer one. So you can see how those have held up over time. The old one I have had for 12 years or so. This was one of the first brushes I ever bought, and mine is a little worse for wear. That's why I got a new one. It was like, this way I have two brushes that can do exactly the same thing, but that I really enjoy. So that's my favorite sort of like packing brush for packing shimmers onto the lid. And then this brush I really like. This is the Firm Blender E44 for when I want to do an extended inner corner highlight. So I use that brush to go there. And then this, if I do any sort of halo eye kind of moment, I like to use the E57. This is a touch smaller than the E55. So here they are side by side. I'm not sure if you can see the difference. The E55 is to the right and the E57 is to the left. And this one is just, it's the same brush, but essentially in a smaller font. So that allows you to do more detailed things. Then I also have quite a few brushes from Zoeva. Now, apparently the brushes I have from them, they no longer seem to do. So that's a bit of a shame. But Zoeva is another brand where I started buying from quite early on in my makeup journey. They were especially known around like the 2010s for doing these brush rolls. And it was like €60. And then you had every single brush that you could potentially think of doing your face makeup with, whether it was eyes, face, whatever. They had these massive things. Then they started like selling singles, and that's when I got most of my Zoeva brushes. So far, I think over time, I've only kept using the eyeshadow brushes and not so much the face brushes. I have other favorites there. But this is their 228 Lux Crease brush. This is a really good fluffy blending brush. I especially like this to fluff some shadow along the lower lash line. If you want to go even extremely detailed, their 237 Detailer brush. Again, I'm not sure if these numbers for these brushes still exist on their website. Then I also have the 224. This is really nice for, like, if you have a crease shade like this and you just want to fluff some eyeshadow on your brow bone, or to fluff this out even more, then you can use something like this. And this is the brush of choice for when I want to do anything in my outer corner. This is the Petite Crease. This is the 231, and it's essentially a thicker pencil brush. So it's the same shape as that E30 from Sigma, but just a lot bigger and fluffier. So I like to sort of like draw it down like this and like push it into the crease this way, and that works really well. So those are some of my favorites. The rest that I have in here is mainly like some one-offs, you could say. There's two brushes from the same brand in here. You'll see this brand coming up in a bit as well, but BK Beauty does some really wonderful brushes as well. They actually have some sets, and that's also where some of these brushes come from, for hooded eyes. So one of the things that I always struggled with, as we will get to in a second, there's a lot of brush brands that do really excellent, great brushes. I feel that nowadays you don't have to go super expensive handmade Japanese brushes if you don't want to. There are a lot of really good brands that do really good things, but I have pretty small features, especially around the eye area, and a lot of the times I find too many brushes to be too big. So if that's you, then look into BK Beauty. They do some really lovely sets for hooded eyes, which I would recommend if you do have smaller lid space to sort of experiment there. This I can't read. I think it's the 203. This is a nice fluffy brush. I very often use this with cream or liquid shadows. I dab it onto the lid, use my finger to sort of spread out the product, and then I use this to fluff it into the crease. Really nice fluffy brush. Too fluffy for me to do any sort of blending, then it just goes everywhere. And then we have the 204, and this is another brush I like using on the lower lash line, and this is really, really tiny and super precise and very dense, which is what I'm looking for. What do I use for my crease? So any sort of thing you see me use in the crease, I always use a MAC 217. This is a really, really old one. I believe they switched from goat hair to like synthetic hairs or like a decade ago. This I purchased when they still did all goat hair. So this is very old. It's definitely looking a bit worse for wear. This is actually a brush that maybe at some point in the future I just need to replace, because she's been through a lot, you know? I use this every single time I do my makeup. It's supposed to be cream. It's supposed to be the same color as this brush right here. From all the washing and stuff I've done with this, it no longer looks like this. I also believe it's supposed to be a little bit more tailored and my brush hairs. And this is why I probably want to like replace it. It's gotten a little just spread out too much, the brush hairs. That's just from usage. But yeah, this has held up really well over time. It's my only MAC brush in my entire makeup collection. I did try some Spectrum brushes. Those weren't my favorite, but this one again, I do like for some very detailed things in the inner corner. This is the Spectrum A12, and this is from it was just a green collection, I believe. It wasn't like a particular one. I also have this very old Sonia Kashuk brush. If you followed Emily Noel like 10 years ago, like I did, then you knew she was a big, big fan of this brand that you could get at Target in the US. So on a trip to the US, I bought myself some Sonia Kashuk brushes, and this is one that I still use. If I want to do a halo eye, I like how small this is, and I can really get into those inner and outer corners and make that work. So that's a lovely thing. Here we have a little Catrice spoolie that actually comes with one of their new brow products that I'm like testing out still. So that's why this is living in here. But I do really like this little brow spoolie. It's really good at like really combing through your brow. So I still like the brush, even if I don't end up loving the product. I know I'll keep the brush around. And then another really good brush brand that I've tried is Rephr. This is their 26 brush. I used it the other day to blend in some lip product, which is why it has a slight red cast here. I tried to take it off as best as I could. And Rephr is one of those brands that I really think makes super high quality brushes. They often do some sales, so if you wait for one of their sales, they sell these little sets, and you can make it a lot more affordable. I find, at least that's how I got most of my Rephr brushes. And I love them. I think they are some of the highest quality brushes I have in my makeup collection, but most of them are too big or too dense. They don't really fit my features that well, which is why I don't use them more often. I have them because I still have all of the ones I have just because I love them so much. They are really, really good quality brushes. I just find that especially around the eye area, I just need smaller things. So that's why you'll see a lot of Rephr brushes in this collection. If you're like, well, I've never seen you use them, it's because I did test them out and I just found that I have other things in my makeup collection I just prefer. Let's do the rest of the eyeshadow brushes here first. I've got a lash like comb thing from Catrice. So these are things I just don't use as often. The spoolie from the HEMA collection you just saw a brush from. This really nice, very sort of whimsy brush from Essence. This is really good at putting any sort of pomade into your brows, so that's why I have that one. I think I've got some more things here that are like angled. Yes. I've got this super sharp, very tiny BK Beauty brush. This is the 208. And then I have this one from Real Techniques. That's a brand we'll get to in a second. But this one, again, is really good at putting like brow powder into your brows. So those are techniques that I currently am not using, but I don't want to get rid of the brushes because maybe if I want to try a pomade or a brow powder again, at some point in my life, I do have the tools to make them work. And this one was really good for brow powder. This one is a little bit too thick compared to the HEMA one that I'm using for eyeliner. This is supposed to be an eyeliner brush, but it's far too like thick and dense for my liking. And then I have another Zoeva brush in here. This I like to use for cut creases if that's what I'm going for. Again, not a makeup technique I'm currently using, but this has the exact shape of what I need to really carve out my crease. And I can just like take a bit of concealer and sort of stamp it on, and I get a perfect cut crease every single time. So that's a good brush for that. So definitely here we get a lot of things indeed that just come with different techniques and stuff. And then I have the 207 from BK Beauty, a nice little dome brush again. I don't really use this a lot around the eyes, but it can be nice to like do like a little accent in the inner corner if that's what you want to do. So it's a good brush to have, but again, not for every day, something I need. And then everything else here are Rephr brushes. And like I said, these are some of my favorites. They are really high quality brushes. But most of them, I do have a couple of the mini sized ones, and those are a little bit better for me. But then again, very often the brush hairs are far too dense and they either pick up too much product or they don't pick up enough product. So that's always an issue. But I have a really beautiful pencil brush here. This is the number 3 brush. This sort of, I think this could actually replace my MAC 217 if I want to, the 1 mini. This is actually a little bit too big, the B03, but it is a beautiful brush. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with these brushes. I think they are really, really good. If my Zoeva very fluffy thing, then the original number 1 brush can be nice. Let me show you. This is the difference between the mini and the original. So you can again see that they did come out with a line of mini brushes, and I believe, Esther, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you gifted me actually a set of minis. I didn't buy those myself as far as I remember, but you had some left or whatever. This is another comparison here. So we have the number 14 brush in the mini and in the regular size. The regular size is this one right here. That's a really nice fluffy brush as well. The number 13 brush in the regular size and the mini. And I also have the number 2 brush in the regular size and the mini. And then I think these are just regular sizes. No, this is the number 15 mini and the number 28 brush, which is like a nice packing brush. So yeah, these are really high quality brushes, which is why I keep them as a backup. If any of my brushes that I keep in my daily stash falls apart, I can easily grab for the Rephr ones and be happy using that. But I feel like this is plenty for me to go by. And as you can see, I've really over time really curated this little section of like what brushes I love to use. And it's never really one of my Rephr brushes, unfortunately. And then we get to my face brushes. So these are far fewer brushes because there's just not that much that fits into the cubby. There's quite a bit of Sigma here, but there's also some brushes we've never talked about yet. And also some brushes by brands that, again, we've already discussed. So maybe we should discuss Real Techniques now. So I actually have been a Real Techniques fan since the start. That's why my handles are the lighter pink. I believe they are now a darker pink. This, I believe, was called the setting brush. I love this for concealer. And right here in my backup cuddy, I do still have my old Real Techniques blush brush. And when I say old, I remember buying Real Techniques in the UK when they hadn't even launched yet here in the Netherlands. So this is like very early traveling to London days. I must have had these since like 2011 or maybe 2012. And look at how good this brush still looks. Until this day, it is still one of my favorite blush brushes. It still is. So Real Techniques do some really good things as well. The only downside to Real Techniques is that you cannot buy it as singles. You have to buy the sets. And I did find with Real Techniques over time, which is why I've stopped buying from them as much, is that you do need to buy the set to get the one brush you want, which it's not that cost effective, I really feel. So it's a bit of a shame. Then we already talked a little bit about Spectrum. So I did buy some Spectrum. I bought the Tinkerbell like baby set. So that was a good travel set. Most of my travel brushes are that set. But you don't really need brushes just for travel. What I've been doing a lot before I had the Spectrum set, so you'll see that in a sec, is that I was just using older brushes that I didn't want to use as often anymore, that in my travel makeup pouch, so that was fine. But the Spectrum B01 is my favorite brush for cream, blush, and bronzer. If it's like a cream product and I need to pick it up from the back of my hand or from the compact, I have found that this brush, also because it is synthetic, is one of the best things to sort of apply it to my face, and it's not too big. So I love that one too. And then some other ones that I don't have anything else by is a crown brush. This is the C406, and this is a duo fiber brush with the white hairs that are a little bit longer than the black ones. I used to have the Sigma version of this, and that one fell apart on me. It's one of the very few brushes that I owned originally that didn't stood the test of time, probably because while washing it, some of the soap must have gotten into the ferrule, and there's glue inside here that keeps the brush hairs in place, and then your brush hairs can fall out if the water and the soap gets in here. It can either get rusty or your brush hairs can fall out. So that's why ever since I discovered that, I like to dry my brushes like this. So I just roll up the back of a towel so that the handle is always a little bit more elevated and the water can really like run out of it. I learned my lesson the hard way. And I bought the crown brush because it was half the price of the Sigma brush at the time. Not sure what it would be now. And then I have this very weird brush. It's a dupe actually for a NARS brush. I don't remember what the name of the NARS brush is, but this one is from Quo. And Quo is a Canadian brand. I'm not sure if they're still around, but about a decade ago, I did a makeup swap with another blogger who was based in Canada, and she very kindly sent me this brush. She had a bit of a wish list for things. We gave each other a budget, and then we sent each other the product. So that was a lot of fun, and I'm still using this. Whenever I have a blush that is too intense for me, I use this one because it prevents me from looking like a clown every single time. So I love it for that reason. And I think everything else is from brands that we've already discussed. So BK Beauty, like with the face brushes, they have really good brushes for smaller features, also for the face. I love the 109. This is a great foundation brush. I'm currently using something differently, so that's why this is sort of in the spare cubby now. But I use the 112 every single day for setting my face with powder. So it just allows me to get in all the little crevices, and it's like a nice little angle brush. So I've really moved away from really, really big powder brushes, you could say. For foundation, I currently am using the F47 from Sigma. I tried to clean the best I can, guys, but I use this every single day. The only thing that's going to get this foundation off is if I use water and soap. The soap I like to use is the Dr. Bronner's baby shampoo. I get it from one particular place. My bottle looks really horrendous because it's almost gone, so that's why I'm not featuring it here in this video, but I just use that, and like I said, a rolled up towel and sort of angling the brushes down like this, and that's been really helpful. I did give all of my brushes a quick clean today. I do have a sort of like quick brush cleanser as well, which is more alcohol based. That's also the kind of thing you see a lot of makeup artists use if you ever go to a store and they very quickly clean off a brush between clients. It's more of a disinfectant, more so than that it's actually going to like turn this highlighter brush back to like this creamy color that it has. So you can see here that it has like that sort of white color, but most of the brush, I mainly use this one on its side, that there's product there, so you can't really take that off unless you do it with water and soap, I find. And then I do have a little disc, which is called a color switch, that I got from Catrice years ago, that I used to sort of rub my eyeshadow brushes on so I can very easily use it again with a different color. That's also really helpful to not have to wash your brushes every single day. And this is the F03 from Sigma. This is the highlighter brush I like to use. It's got the right density. That was something I really looked for a long time. A good highlighter brush. Took me a while. And I'm currently using the F29, which Sigma says is a bronzer brush. But this, for me, in bronzer, far too dense. Look, there's barely any movement, but this is really beautiful for blush. The only thing that is really like bigger in my features are my cheeks. I have these like little hamster, like little chubby cheeks, so I like to go in with a bigger brush there. But everything else, I really don't want too big, like too massive things, even though I do have a massive forehead, but this is going to deposit so much color that it's not going to blend into my hairline or into my foundation at all. I'm just going to end up with a bronzy stripe because I'm so pale. You know what I mean? Like, I may look really, really pale on my face, but you can see, like, with my chest, how light my neck and my chest are, so that's exactly what I need. And then I think everything else here we've talked about. Oh, we have some What's Up Beauty here as well. They sent me some of their brushes, the R102. These are also handmade brushes. They are really lovely, but none of those really stood the test of time. Again, most of those are in my travel makeup bag. I have a Sydney Grace brush as well. They do some lovely brushes too. Again, really lovely brush, but I don't really use this shape all that often. These are, again, just here like in case the other ones are too dirty, or if I want to use something else and I have something on hand. This, I think, is going to, if the crown brush ever falls apart, I'm going to go in with this. This is the F53 Air by Sigma. This is for contour and blush, it says. Has a bit of an angle to it, but it is a duo fiber brush essentially. So I think this can be nice for a replacement for that. That's why I have that one. I love this BK Beauty brush, the 111. This is really good, again, for blush, but it can also be used for powder if you want something that's bigger. Another BK Beauty brush, this is the 1110. This is also really good for highlighter if you like more of a domed approach. I find that these kind of things just pick up too much product. So that's why I like this. This is also smaller, it has less surface area, and it gives you a much more targeted like application. And then I can sort of use the other side of the brush to blend it out at the same time. I only have so many minutes in the morning to do my makeup, right? So another Sydney Grace brush that is really, really pretty. And I think a What's Up Beauty brush that I really enjoyed. And then I have, oh, this is one of the Spectrum brushes from the Tinkerbell collection. This is really nice as well. Great little blush brush for me. And then this is also a good one. This is the Flat Top 125 from HEMA from the wooden handle again. This is a really good replacement for my Spectrum brush. And this is actually better for me for blush because this is just a touch smaller than the Spectrum. So this for bronzer, and then this one for either blush or highlight. So again, not something I use every day. I don't feel I necessarily need it, but this is what I just keep on top of my vanity, right front and center to play with. And this way you also have a bit of a lowdown of where a lot of my choices come from. And then I just have a bunch of extra brushes in here. So I mainly use this if I'm doing other people's makeup, because I don't often have time to wash my own brushes and then do somebody else's makeup and then wash them again before I do my own makeup. So that's why I do have spare brushes. I only do other people's makeup from time to time. I have been asked again because a friend of mine is getting married to do their makeup for like in a couple of weeks' time. I do have a sponge. This is my favorite makeup sponge, in case you're wondering. It's by AOA. I'm not even sure if they're still a brand, but these were $1 at the time. And I ordered like 15 of them, and then I stopped using makeup sponges. But I still have a couple on hand, and I've got a little stand for my makeup sponge as well, so that if I'm using it, I can dry it nicely on my vanity. These were all brushes that I had in my like daily stash, but I just felt I wasn't using them enough. But again, I can very easily get through it. Let me see if I can hold them up and read out the names to you. But here's all of them. Here are all those brushes. So I have the Sigma E54, the E42 by Sigma. This is a Zoeva 228, a Sigma E21. This is the E25, by the way, from Sigma. This is a dupe for the MAC one, the 217 from MAC. The E20 from Sigma, a Rephr number 27 brush, another Zoeva, this is the 223, and the BK Beauty 203. These are, again, great brushes. They are on top for a reason. I have some kabuki brushes. This one's from H&M. This one is from e.l.f. If you want decent brushes at a budget price point, look into e.l.f. This is where my brush collection got started. And this kabuki, I'm not sure if they still do it. I've had this for so long, but for a very long time, when I first started out doing like makeup with makeup brushes, e.l.f. was my go-to makeup brand. So this is another one to try. Powder Puff from Sephora. And I think everything else in here is either BK Beauty, Zoeva, Rephr, or more Sigma. This is everything. Let me see if there's anything here that's interesting. This is the F25. This used to be my powder brush of choice before I switched to the BK Beauty. I have a little fan brush from Zoeva, the 19 brush from Rephr, the 04 brush from Rephr. Like, these are all really, really good. This is a bit, like, this is what I mean with brushes being too big. Like, this is almost like the size of my entire face. It's the number 22 brush from Rephr. A Sigma what's it called? F64. That is a beautiful brush. The F03, so this is a backup for my highlighter brush. I have the Sigma E20. This is the short, where did it go? So this is what I used to use, and this is the one I'm currently using. This is the BK Beauty 204. You can see how much smaller that is. I like a small brush. The E35 from Sigma is really pretty. The BK Beauty 113 is really good. And then I just have my Zoeva, like this is I used to use this for highlighter, but it's too fluffy now. And then I have my Sigma Kabuki brush, the F80. I had one of these that was so covered in foundation, I couldn't even clean it anymore. But they sent me a new one, and I'm really happy with it. And then I have another Sigma E25. Some more HEMA. So this used to be another like short shader brush that I used to use. And I have a short-handled MAC 217 that was also sent to me in a swap some time ago. So I can also use that to replace my MAC brush with. Other than that, the things we haven't really mentioned yet is Essence. A long time ago, they did these glitter and pigment brushes. These are just sort of like rubber packaging things. I like this one for laying down the glitter and this one for picking it up. Because this is static, you can stick it into a non-press glitter, so a loose glitter, and it will just have the applicator be like covered in glitter. And then this one I can use to like tap it into place. So that's why I have them. I don't wear a lot of glitter, but that way I have it. And this is my favorite ever brow bone highlight brush. It's also from Sonia Kashuk. That's how long I've had some of these brushes, because I don't believe Sonia Kashuk is still a brand. Oh well. A Zoeva brush again. This is a really beautiful brush. I really like this collection with the navy handles that I bought at the time. And then I think a similar thing from Rephr, the number 24 brush. I also have a Lux highlight from Zoeva. I have another Zoeva brush. This is the 114. This is really beautiful too. So again, these are really good brushes. Oh, this is another one from Zoeva, the 1110 Face Shape. I feel I have all these brushes already. So the E38, yeah. The Diffuser brush. Oh, the E15. This is really good if you want to like tight line your waterline, which is again something I don't do often. Some more Zoeva. I can't read this anymore, but this is a good brush. And then a Sigma P82. Again, I have smaller versions of it now. But this is a really nice sort of like mimics your finger, great for applying like cream shadows, paint pots. Eyeshadow primer, this is really good for if you're someone who doesn't like using their fingers. A brush can work. And then I think this is the B01 from Rephr, and I have the B02 from Rephr. And these are lovely brushes, but they are so dense. There's very little give with these, so they deposit a lot of product. And I think this is another short-handled, yeah, this is a MAC 187, another duo fiber brush. So yeah, those were all of the brushes that I sort of keep up top. Like I said, I do have things for traveling as well. And this I actually need to go through because there's way too much in here. I know that. But that's the thing. I cannot get rid of these things because I like all of these things. So it's a bit of a shame. I think this is this is a lot of the HEMA stuff. Some of the What's Up Beauty brushes live in here. A set of Essence brushes that was really lovely. And some Zoeva that I wasn't using enough. So there's just a lot in here. I should just go through this. I really don't need all of these. So these are all of the eye brushes that I have in here, which is far too many. I could probably just keep the What's Up Beauty ones and be happy. I do have a travel size of the Sigma E25 that is good for blending, so I'll keep that. This one is actually used. Like the last time I traveled, I must have used this. This is by What's Up Beauty, the R108. Also from What's Up Beauty is the R110. The What's Up Beauty R111. So these are all going to stay because I do really think these are good brushes. This pencil brush is nice. This is the R107. And I think there's one more What's Up Beauty brush, and that's the R112, which is a very nice, like this is an interesting shape. Yeah, that's different. And then I think I do want to keep this like spoolie double-ended thing. This is from the Spectrum Tinkerbell set. So I'll keep that. And then I'll keep this Tinkerbell set from the Spectrum line as well, and this blush brush. But then I think this was a Jurassic World collab from Essence. I mean, they're really pretty, but maybe my niece might like these actually. I think I can give these to someone else. So this actually turns into a bit of a declutter here. And then these are all of the face brushes I have. So let me see. We again have some from the Essence line. But then again, I think I'm good with the other ones. I like this buffing brush from HEMA for foundation, actually. Or like cream bronzer. I very often travel with cream products, so this is good to have in there. This is too big for me, but I do like this for blush. But I do have this for blush now by What's Up Beauty, the R202. So I think that's okay to keep that. And then this, I think, for bronzer, the R203. And then this for a highlighter, the R201. And then this is actually the one that I use for powder, the Zoeva 127. So I think this way I've colored enough. And then I think I can just leave these two Essence brushes out. And then I'm going to give these to my niece. I do have to wash this brush, but I think that's going to be fun because it is her birthday really, really soon. So I hope she isn't watching this video, but then I'll gift these to her. And they have like really cute handles as well. Like these are good quality, but cute brushes. So maybe she can have a bit of fun with that. So the moral of the story here today is find brushes that work for you. It can be at any price point, really. You don't have to splurge hundreds of euros right off the bat buying good brushes. That's definitely something that you do see a lot sometimes. Like I said, some of my favorite brushes are under 3 euros a pop, so you really don't have to spend that much money. And I hope that this way you got a bit of an idea. There's just loads of different things. What I think is most important to look out for when you are buying brushes is what do you want to use it for. For instance, this brush may say that it's a bronzer brush, but I don't like something this dense for bronzer. I just know that. So that's why I'm using it as a blush brush. And for instance, have a look at what the brush hairs are made of when you're making a purchase. This is a synthetic brush. Synthetic brushes are better for creams than powders are. Powders tend to like natural fibers. So that is something to look for what you want to do. But I do know that a lot of synthetic fiber brushes have gotten really, really good. I mean, Real Techniques, this is all synthetic fiber, and I do feel that synthetic fibers are easier to clean and they are easier to maintain the shape of over time. So I do think that there's something to say there. But with brushes, you do need to take care of them really, really well. And then as you can see, you can use them like forever almost. Like you can have a makeup brush for as long as you're doing your makeup. So think wisely, think about what you want to do, and then just like curate your own set. I've never been able to find a brush set that is set by a brand that then has all of the brushes that I like. So this is definitely like a journey, and that's of course also the aim of this video today. So thanks so much for being here today, and then I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Stay tuned for more makeup journey insights if you want to know. And then maybe you can find some tips along the way as well for your makeup collection, who knows. I do post 4 times a week on this channel where I chat all about makeup and beauty. And then on my second channel, I post more lifestyle-y, behind the scenes kind of things. And I post once a week on floating in books. The links to that and other social media can be found in the description box down below. So if you want to check me out anywhere else, then you can. Hope to see you again in the next video, and then I hope to see you there. Bye-bye!